So I have been on a Liz Gilbert tear. I just read Eat, Pray, Love in about a week, and it came out like 10, 15 years ago. And I know when the movie came out or whatever, I was just like, Eat, Pray, Love. It sounds so contrived, but I love her writing. So I'm also reading Big Magic right now. And I think I am going to have a whole creativity episode come out when I get to the end of that book. And some of these ideas are from this book, but also a YouTube video that I shared in my newsletter. If you're not on the newsletter, get on it. It's the Pen Pal list. Check that link out in the show notes. And when she talked about four categories of work and passion in our lives. So the four categories are a hobby. That is something you do for joy. It has zero stakes. So you don't need to make money from it. You don't need to do anything with it. Then just enjoy it. And I had a glimmer of this, y'all, again, when I was on the cruise ship. I went on a cruise in July. At the time of this recording, it's August. I went on a cruise ship and I played pickleball every day until I got sick the last day of the cruise. Don't recommend it. I just felt pure joy playing pickleball, and I have a competitive spirit. So the last day when I got sick, I walked past the pickleball courts and the people I'd been playing with all week like had their hands raised like, why you were not here? Why are you not in the tournament? And I'm like, I just started playing and they want me in the tournament. And so I had like this moment where I'm like, I'm good enough to be in a tournament. I know it's on a cruise ship, but that's fine. So anyway, but a hobby, like you just enjoy it. There's no pressure. And I think when we get older, hobbies become performative for some people, including myself. Job pays your bills. Sometimes you need a job. It may not light your soul on fire, but it keeps the lights on. I will add the caveat that Liz Gilbert does not put in about a job is that your nervous system should be able to handle this job. So if you are carrying that job home with you, that's not a great job for you. So the job needs to be able to keep the lights on. For me, that was doing report writing again. So working as a consultant in schools is what I do now to keep the lights on. And the vocation of teaching, which I'm doing through this podcast, is not paying all the bills right now. Maybe it will one day. And to our third category is a career. When you build in a field over time, put in the hours, you grow your skills, you earn recognition. So I might build into a career as a podcaster, but currently I am not doing that as my career. Maybe it will get there, maybe it won't. And when I first started podcasting, I had another podcast. Shout out to TBI Therapist. If you work with people with brain injury, listen to that podcast. I think you can still find it on Spotify and it's also my website. I still like have this passion for that population. So I think what I'd love to do is like have therapists trained on understanding brain injuries better. And plus I work in school psych. So I just have been working in with neurodiverse brains for, yeah. So pretty much when did I start my postdoc? Yeah, for like, well, 15-ish years, I've been working with neurodiverse populations. And so I just have, all the love for people with different brains. My favorite way to say people who might have an acquired brain injury or ABIs, TBIs, or any other aspect of neurodiversity like autism, learning disabilities, which often get left out of that mix. But I have learned so much about learning disabilities and working in schools. I don't think I'm going to have a career in school psychology, but one could say I might have one or might be building one. I think I have a job right now in school psychology. A vocation is a deep calling, the work that you do no matter what, the thing that feels like yours to do in the world. For me, I think that's teaching. I've taught things throughout my life. So I've taught fitness. I've taught one job at one time where I had a career. I was working as a foster parent trainer. And I actually looked for training jobs when I was thinking of getting out of therapy for a while because it's a job that I reflect on that I really loved. Was it a job or career? Maybe it was a meld. Anyway, but I feel like teaching, perhaps podcasting might be a vocation. I'm not sure if I will always podcast, but I see it as a way of teaching and sharing. So there we are. Big point. Not everything in your life needs to be all four of these things. In fact, trying to make them fit perfectly into some kind of Goldilocks puzzle burns us out. It creates expectations that we might have for our job that don't fit our life. And we might be trying to force something that wasn't really meant to be. Okay. So recently I had this realization. So I teach a few fitness classes. I've talked about this on my news class. I'm going to leave that in there. My newsletter, the Pen Pal list, is where I talk about that. And I started this class, this lifting class on Monday nights, and I was excited because it was at a prime spot. If you've ever taught fitness classes, you know you want a prime spot because most people go to the gym like on Monday nights or they go at like 9 a.m. in the morning. Those are like the prime time spots to teach. And previously, before COVID, when I was teaching fitness classes, I wanted those prime time spots. And it's just so weird. I started teaching fitness classes because I liked Zumba. I have always danced my whole life. So I have a distinct memory of being a little girl, of choreographing dance routines with my beatbox. No, not a beatbox, with my boombox. I'm so old, y'all. With my boombox in the 80s with some of my squirrel friends. And that translated into just like making mixtapes for friends. So I had cassette tapes and I would make them mixtapes for those of you who are in Gen, or like, I don't even know if you've seen a cassette tape. But anyway, like you would record the radio to this cassette tape and make like little mixes for your friends. And then you'd hand them out to your friends rather. And then I got into like the house music scene and I loved electronic dance music. And so through most of my teens and early 20s, I was dancing till the sun came up. And, in my mid-ish 20s, I think the Zumba kind of craze came out in fitness. And I was like, I can enjoy this in some other way. So I started doing Zumba classes and I just love them. I love them so much that I thought maybe I'll teach this. Maybe that would be something that I'd really like to do. And going into a new field, I felt like there's so much I don't know about fitness. There's so much I don't know about physiology that I want to know. So it started me down a road of turning my hobby into something of a career. So I got my personal training certification. I got a 200-hour yoga certification. I've gotten many other fitness certifications. And I got to the point with this lifting class where like, am I burnt out from my hobby? Like, what am I even doing? Like, I can burn out of anything, you guys, because I love something, I go all in. I think it's my brain. I think I just tend to do that. And so as I'm getting older, maybe earlier me, if I had that pickleball thing that came up, I might be like, I'm going to pickleball like all day, all night. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I want to get to like a 4.0 rated pickleballer. Um, and that's how I've gotten with tennis is tennis has kind of turned a little performative and I'm a 3.5 rated tennis player. I've always wanted to be a 4.0 rated tennis player. And I'm like, what if I played in college? If I played college ball, I probably would be this. I'm like, what does it even matter? Oh my gosh. And so I had this decision that I needed to make because I was dreading teaching this class on Monday nights and it really doesn't fit in my life anymore. I like lifting weights. It's fine, but I don't really like I just want to get it done and I enjoy it and I like being strong. Like that's all good, but I don't need to take 2 hours of an evening or drag my kids to the YMCA who don't want to go anymore. They get mad at me and they just want to like lay on the couch after school. So, yeah, I let it go. And I didn't need the money. It was a hobby. But I've been treating it like a job, holding it to really high standards, feeling like I need to keep up on these certifications. I think I counted, I'm just going to count, I'm going to pause this and count my certifications. Hold on. I've been forcing it into the job, career, or vocation category, and it really stripped away my joy for fitness. I don't enjoy Zumba class anymore. I don't take Zumba classes anymore because I lost my love for it because I strove too much to try to be a great Zumba instructor. So I am trying to think of other ways to find music and movement that is just joyful. And so I'm still figuring that piece out and how that's all going to work. So for your career as a therapist, I think a lot of times I think of the certifications that I felt like I needed to have to feel competent. Are they necessary? Is that something that you need to have? Do you need to have a private practice? I know I worked with someone this year who closed their practice and took time off, which I recommend. If you don't know what to do, just take a break. And they actually did go back to therapy, but they just didn't want the practice part of it. And so perhaps it's the private practice part that is really depleting of the multiple roles that we fill as private practice clinicians, perhaps. Number two, if no one was watching or depending on you, would you still do it? And this is what we need to ask for those things that could be a vocation or a hobby. And for me, like thinking of like what I still want to do, lifting, yes, I still want to lift weights. I think it's something that I like to do. It's something I want to do. I don't need to teach it anymore. And that when I was weighing through this decision, my tyrant brain makes me think that I'm letting the whole world down doing this. And I neglect to think about what that choice of keeping that class was costing me. It was costing me a lot of stress during the week because I had to bring my kids there. They're at an age where it's harder to get them to go along with the program. So, and then like it really drained me for other parts of my week. Like I probably needed to like just cook dinner and do some meal prep and make sure I'm set up for the rest of the week because I like to play tennis on Tuesday and Thursday. And that's really what I want to do. I just want to do something hobby related on Tuesday, Thursday. I want to be available to just play. Those are my nights to play and I want to play, period. And I think a piggyback to number two would be, and this is from, so I watched, I don't know if you guys have seen this show. It's called The Bear. It's on FX or Hulu. Maybe it was on FX first and then Hulu, but I watched it on Disney. So I don't even know where you get this thing from. It was from the guy who was in Shameless, and he's a chef. In the show, was like a world renowned chef who had a James Beard star. And he goes back to his family who his brother died by suicide, and they had a family restaurant. And so he took up the family restaurant and ended up like remaking the whole restaurant, creating a beautiful restaurant. And at the end of this last season, if you're watching the show, I don't want to give a spoiler. He has to come to a decision, and another chef asks him, don't you love cooking anymore?" And he's like, I don't love cooking. And for me, I had to sit with their parts of therapy I love. I loved my clients. I loved seeing the transformation, and that love for my clients, for the people they are and were, and the transformations I saw. I thought that was enough to keep me in the work, but I didn't like who I was as a therapist, and I didn't like the work anymore. So that question, like, do I even like this anymore? Can I even do this anymore? And I think that segues into number three. Is this renewing you or depleting you? So I like to think about seasonal rhythms, like tending a garden. I talk about garden metaphors all the time. What's blooming, what's wilting, what's crowding out space for other things. And if I think of even my hobby, like my Monday night class that I just let go, it was crowding out space for me to be with my family. And I've been thinking recently we went on a trip. It was just a beautiful trip where we were on a river in Maine. It's called the Saco River. And how that time was so precious and it's so short. And believe me, there were times where it just wasn't cute, but there were many times that were beautiful. And when I'm stressed, I'm not able to access that place of contentment within myself very easily. It definitely was something that was depleting me. And so for you, just thinking of, is this something right now that's depleting you? And this next one, number four, has striving or perfectionism crept into it? So I talked a little bit about certifications before, but I think a lot of therapists feel like they need to get all the certifications to feel like they need to be a good therapist or a competent therapist. So don't even get me started on why we don't train our newer clinicians on these modalities that we know are helpful. And I think I recently read some research. I don't have the article in front of me that says that if therapists had trauma training, they're less prone to burnout. I'm going to find it. I don't have it here, but let's just say it's hearsay. I read it somewhere and I can't remember where I read it. That they're less prone to burnout. So why wouldn't we give them that training in your early days of training? That makes zero sense. So if you are a newer clinician listening to this, if you're still in school, some training programs do have money set aside for you to get additional certifications while you're in training. I highly recommend you doing like an EMDR training. I don't know. I've taken some parts work training, but IFS, does not have the evidence base yet for me and my evidence-based psychology background in my mind space that I feel like the cost justifies. I looked at that training was like 4K. Maybe it was more. And so that seemed to be crazy. But people say they love it, so I'm not knocking it because I haven't taken the whole training, and I know people love IFS. And I love parts work, and parts work is not unique to IFS, so you can still do parts work without doing a full-blown IFS training. Maybe the IFS people will say that's not enough. I don't know. I don't know. So for me, like that pattern showed up for me in fitness, right? So like I love Zumba, and then I don't like it anymore. Maybe it's just take a class. So I saw this totally cool music incorporated yoga class, but then my other part of my brain is like, you could totally teach that and work it out. You could totally do that. Yeah. So yeah, and also like freaking diet culture. It shows up everywhere. Why does it show up everywhere? So it really changed the relationship I had with movement. So me as the fitness instructor felt like I needed to have a certain body type. And it certainly was really loud when I gained about 30 pounds in COVID and at the peak of my spiritual awakening slash burnout. I'm using the Brene Brown spiritual awakening slash burnout now. Spiritual awakening. It started with joy, I think going to concerts, like I'm just going to try to find more concerts because I really feel like just going and dancing and moving to music is beautiful. Question 5. What would bring you pleasure now in your hobbies? Those are pure pleasure. Just find something. You know what I looked up? I saw a like mandala rock painting kit and I'm going to ask for it for Christmas. So maybe I'm going to start a trend on LinkedIn where I want to see your mandala painted rock for no other reason than to spread like senseless joy in the world. Yes. So mandala rock painting is maybe a hobby I'm going to come up with. Okay. And I think pleasure just changes so differently in midlife. Like I can't go to a rave right now and dance till the sun comes up. Probably wouldn't work at 45 with 2 kids. Maybe it can happen. Maybe it will happen, but I don't think so. I don't think so. And I just think about children and my kids. They are very clear on what is fun and creative for them. They don't really have to think about it. Our adult brains just really suck at being creative and just having fun. So my older son told me, you know that riding a roller skates with the electric scooter is actually safer than doing either activity. So I think I should do both. And I was like, okay, wear a helmet. Enjoy. And my youngest loves squishies and hunting for crabs at the town landing. So I want to get that kind of clarity. Like stepping back from this Monday night class is one of my ways I'm making space for finding out where can I have more contentment and joy in my week. And I want that for you. I want you to find a piece of that. And so I like to think about like, where can I find pleasure in lots of areas, right? In my podcast, in my career. I don't have a career right now. Scratch that. In my vocation, in hobbies, in my job. That could be that just like maybe I'm going to start a little lunch group with some of the women I work with at my job. Start small, small moves. So if you're on the fence about something in your life right now, especially work related, try these questions. They won't make your decision, although that would be easier. And I know. But we have one precious life, and especially for therapists, I want you to live it. So let's not spend it on things that don't make any sense for our lives anymore. Talk soon.